Hello everybody, welcome back to this episode of Etching Scripts 101. It's your host Whitney, and today guys, on this episode of Etching Scripts 101, on this beautiful podcast, we have our very first, on the podcast specifically, Etching Scripts 101, we have our very first writer's scope, y'all. So today I'm going to be giving advice to somebody who wrote in my email asking me for my advice. And so the reason why, well, not even the reason why, let me give you an introduction to what a writer scope is. So a writer scope is a platform to where I give you guys my advice on whatever issues that you're going through. The whole point of this is not to be like, oh, I'm the top dollar, I know how to give advice on everything. No, that's not it. My thing is, like, I think for every situation that we go through, we could be clouded. We could not have the best judgment. We could think that we're doing what we need to do, but there's something about this situation that we just need somebody's help on. And maybe your mama's not working. Maybe, you tried with what your friends are saying, but it's not working. I'm that third party that wants to help you out throughout your process. And so the thing about this is that I really love a writer scope because it really helps me stay engaged with every last one of you guys. I really like to talk to every last one of you guys one-on-one. This is my sort of way to where I can help you guys out one-on-one. So the purpose of a writer scope is to give you guys individualized advice, have a third party's perspective on your situation, and to give you an as clear of a judgment, or not even a judgment, of advice as possible. And so today we only have one email, but that's okay because the email I think is packed with a lot. I haven't read it at all. So I got it. Today is the 6th and I got it yesterday and I was like, oh my God, I'm so ready for this. I really want to help. And so automatically I keep everybody anonymous unless said otherwise. Unless you want your name out there, I'm not going to automatically put your name out there. They put in their subject title subscriber advice ES101. And I tell everybody, my podcast is also on YouTube. So my YouTube channel is not Writer Scope. My YouTube channel is Whitney's Script, but my podcast is Etching Scripts 101. And the point of my podcast is to basically, overall for both platforms, it's self-love. We're etching scripts one day at a time. We're learning, we're growing, and we're becoming the best versions of ourselves as much as possible. And so this is my way of kind of showing you guys, like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to talk about. This podcast is like 95% venting, but that's okay because, we're here together. I'm trying to create a platform to where anybody could come here as a safe space. And so if you're going to send me an email, my email it's going to be on the screen this whole time, but my email is writersoneworld@gmail.com, and it's spelled writers, WRITERS, the numerical number 1, world, WORLD, @gmail.com. So that is my email, and I'll say it one more time, writersoneworld@gmail.com, writers, the numerical number 1, world@gmail.com. So while I got all of that out of the way, guys, and also I want to know specifically where you're coming from, so that way, I could point to you directly. Because I'm not going to say your name, but of course, while I'm reading the email, you'll know it's you, but I want you to know that I hear you and I'm here for you. So in your subject title, if you want to, you can put, I'm coming from the podcast ES101, and then whatever subject title you want to do. So this person put subscriber advice ES101. Basically, there is a playlist here on my channel called A Writer Scope, where you can see all the videos that I have given advice on. And if you think that I am giving valuable advice, then you can shoot me an email as well. So let me just get this out the way. Thank you guys for joining me today. Now let's get right on into this email. So this person says, hello, I'm from ES101 and I'm going to lay out my problems bare. I haven't told anyone because I was honestly embarrassed and I'm sick of crying and tired of being irritated and angry for reasons that don't warrant these kinds of emotions. Since primary school, which is the education system in the UK, I've always been a quiet girl. I never got really close to a large group of people and always been one to just have a few close group of friends, which I honestly prefer, but in my adolescence, I wanted to be popular and hang out with large group cause. I've always been hypersensitive to other people's opinions because I want them to like me. I didn't want them to hate me when my best friend at the time wanted to go in front of me in the line. I don't really remember why, but I said no and was quite firm, But then I heard her talk to another friend, and I don't remember what exactly she said, but saying, I don't remember what she said, but saying basically how I was rude in not letting her go in front of me. The next day, I just let her go in front of me. You might see a pattern, but there was also another instance when we were playing a game called Octopus, which is like a playground game in the UK in which the person, it says a color, and if you're wearing that color, you're allowed to walk to the other side. But if you're not, you have to try running across to not get it. For this game, I made myself a red and green bracelet using purple thread for the purpose of the game if we were going to play it. However, I heard my friend at the time say to my other friend while she was wearing the bracelet, "We are not even going to play that game today. And if she was going to wear one, at least wear different colors." And I know I had red and green on my jumper, but I just made my bracelet like that. I guess I didn't want to be obvious that I was preparing myself for the game. Needless to say, I pushed my bracelet down my arm and covered it with my jumper so no one could see while I was sitting at lunch with these people. They were good friends, but I think I may have developed a trauma in which now I'm too scared of losing my actual friends, meaning people that I open up to and comfortable around, to the point I feel I become quite possessive, and unconsciously, when my best friend right now hangs out with other best friends, I become pissy with her. I know this is long, but I need some advice to take the steps to grow. In secondary school, still with mom mentality of more is more, I prioritize being seen with a large group of friends rather than hanging out with my actual 3 good and best friends, because I thought it was embarrassing to be seen with only 3 other people on the large lunch table. Although I ate lunch and spent a break with this large group of people, I didn't feel seen and wasn't really friends with them at all. Rather, I was just someone following them around, a shadow within the background of the person that I was best friends at the time with and went to the same primary school with. Because we both were kind of quiet and invisible in the group, people often asked if we were best friends, to which she responded no. To be honest, I think she was embarrassed to have me as one. Also, later on the line, people often made remarks on how we're always together, and to which she responds, "It's because I always follow her around," to the point another mutual of ours would also say that. She would sometimes get aggravated at me and treat me like a little shit. Whoa, she would treat me like a little shit, to be honest. There was this one time that I saw her walking home, so I catched up to her and said, "Hey, right." And then we started talking to them. Mid-conversation, she just walked faster. I continued to walk home by myself, to be honest. I don't remember if I cried that day or not, but I remember feeling so empty yet angry because I didn't do anything to her except be there and be a good friend. It was in year 11 when I basically feel grown up a little and started hanging out with my actual friends, not just after school, but during lunch and break. And honestly, it felt liberating. Good. Not being invisible to be seen and heard and not a shadow. I started living my truth when I went to 6th form, and honestly, I haven't been happier. However, because of those 7 years of secondary, I've become scared of being invisible and being alone. And although I wasn't alone, and my other close and 2 friends I hung out with were so much fun when it came to my best friend. And get this, she, the first friend I ever had, proudly called me their best friend. However, the thing is, my best friend has other close friends too, which honestly hasn't affected us. Like, she still invite me to the birthday parties. She will be the first one to ring happy birthday as soon as it turns 12 o'clock. Like, honestly, perfectly fair. Also, because we in different friend groups in, I don't know what SKL means. We would probably still, I think, friends. Oh, in school. Okay, so they were also, because we were in different friend groups in school, we would still hang out outside and she would confide in me and vice versa. I'm literally fine with everyone else hangs out with, because unlike me, she's a social butterfly. But whenever she said hi to me with this friend group, I would walk away and pretend I didn't see her. And in this friend group of hers, there is this other friend who I used to be close friends with in secondary school. But after we got in 6th grade form, I realized we were more like study friends. And to be honest, I became jealous because I guess every time when us 3 together in secondary school, that I often suddenly became irritated. Like when all of us were on the phone, this friend would have full-blown 30 minutes to 1 hour conversations in Italian to my best friend, because they were both Italian. Also, my best friend regards us both as her best friends. And to be honest, it would make me feel uncomfortable. Not that I mind them speaking in their language, but I just felt left out because I couldn't understand them. Okay, that makes sense. The thing is, I thought this friend was doing it on purpose, but when I told my boyfriend, my best friend, she just said it was an accident and it wasn't like that. Also, I didn't like when we all get together, when I would call my best friend, she would say, no, she is my best friend. And basically disregard my friendship to her and said that I don't know her like she does. To which I responded, I do. And then things got awkward. It may sound childish, but she legit tells me everything about her the same as she does. So I just felt honestly pissed off at her and irritated. It got to the point when I wasn't looking forward to hanging out with this friend and just wanted to see my best friend without her. So instead of being with someone I didn't like, I just started ignoring her in year 12. Like whenever she said hi, I would ignore her. And I just hoped that she would get the idea that I didn't want to be friends with her. This girl, let's call her L, is in the same group my best friend hangs out with. So whenever my best friend said hi to me and she was with this group, I would ignore her too. And one day she asked me why I didn't speak to L anymore. And I said, because I don't like her anymore. But I didn't give any context as to why, because honestly, my reason is kind of childish, I think. But to be honest, I don't think Elle deserved to have a fake friend, and I wanted to surround myself with people who I actually regarded as friends. And honestly, although it may sound heartless, I felt happier. But for some reason, whenever I see my best friend with her, when we supposed to hang out, I get irritated at her. And honestly, I think it's my insecurity of being replaced, because she is literally my first best friend. I'm scared of being replaced and being alone. And every time I notice if she doesn't talk to me a bit, or she didn't hang out with me during free, and then she comes to me with a completely valid we Gucci reason, it seems like my default is, I thought you were angry with me. Oh, thank God, right? Or I'm sorry, like for literally no reason, because I don't want to lose her. I want to be a better best friend, and I want to flipping grow up mentally, but I'm stuck as to how. How am I going to do this? I don't know where to start. And I noticed you started your own spiritual journey to heal yourself emotionally. To be honest, I think when people talk shit about me, I think that was traumatic and shaped me to be more weary and on the alert when it comes to shifts to people's moods. And I've become afraid of expressing my opinion because I don't want to lose anymore. If you could read my story and give me some advice, I would I would appreciate it greatly. I'm sorry for writing so much. Kind regards. I have so much to tell you. So much. But we're going to break it down. So all of that I said, I hope that I articulated it in a way that was helpful for everybody watching and listening, because I know that I was kind of jumping through the sentences, and it's a different way of speech to me because, I'm from America, she's from the UK, and I was just trying to understand like the different lingo. So I apologize if everything is choppy. So first off, I want to thank you for writing to me. I feel very, very honored that you decided to come to me for help. And so basically, I'm going to give you the best advice possible, and I'm going to tell you what I think would help you out in the best way possible. Now, of course, you can continue to write me, keep me updated on what you're doing. I want to know, and even we can send emails back and forth because I genuinely want to be there for you. I genuinely want to help. So, number one, right? Like I first want to sum up everything that you were saying, because the way that I was reading it, I feel like I was choppy. And so I just want to better articulate what you're going through. And so basically the way that I'm understanding what you're going through is that you're feeling like you are not mentally mature enough to be in the position that you are in, because you finally got a best friend that you feel like is amazing. That's your best friend in the whole entire world. She's your very first best friend, but she has other best friends as well. And so you might feel a little protective, and you might feel a little insecure when your best friend has other friends, because you want her, it sounds like you want her to be like, you want to be her number one best friend too, right? And I don't want to say number one. I just want to say like, yeah. So it sounds like she does value you as a friend. First off, I want to say that it does sound like you're in a situation where you're very much valued, but it's more so like a personal thing, right? And so for one thing, did you call yourself L or did you call your friend L? You called I don't speak to L. You called your friend's best friend L, right? Now you cut off L because, okay, we got three parties in here. We got A, which is the person that wrote to me. B, which is A's best friend. And we got L, which is B's best friend, right? And so basically you didn't like how she was kind of coming off. You felt like you were othered because they have a mutual bond and something that you can't control at all. Like that's just not your story, right? And so you cut her off because you just felt like you were going to be a fake friend if you continued to be Elle's friend, which is very big of you because not a lot of people are going to do that. Not a lot of people are going to be like, listen, I don't particularly like this person anymore and I don't want to be fake about it. So I'm just going to remove myself from the situation, which is fair. But one thing that I do want to tell you to do is like, it's okay to be cordial as well. It's okay to say hi, and ignoring somebody is probably going to make the matters worse, right? And so overall, basically, you want to know how you can start becoming more mentally mature. And what did you say specifically? You were like, I want to grow up mentally, but you're stuck as to how. How are you going to do this? You don't know where to start. You want to do your own spiritual journey, and you also want to heal emotionally because, you know, of what you experienced in the past. And so what it sounds like to me is that I think the problem here, because obviously I don't know everything that's going on. You gave me a lot of information. I think every bit of it was so helpful. From my third party's perspective, it sounds like not only were you a people pleaser, you are very aware of how you feel, which is awesome. But also it sounds like you put your validation in the people or in the quantity of people, right? And it sounds like you're kind of growing out of that because you do say, hey, like I cut her off because I didn't want to be a fake friend. And that's fair, right? Like you understand the value of friendship. You understand of the value of your friendship as well. And I don't think that you're being a bad best friend at all. I think you're being very honest. One thing that I want to say as well that I think I saw here, like, because you gave a lot of examples of how you were being a people pleaser, but it doesn't sound like you're being that much of a people pleaser anymore, which is a good thing because, like I said, you cut off the person and you were being honest with your friend with how you felt. And she told you like, hey, like, it's not like that. I'm like, you know, I don't want you to feel that way. And also you feel like, oh Lord, you feel like you've done something wrong when they're not with you. And so overall, you want to level up mentally. You want to stop beating yourself up. So I'm here to tell you that I want you to first not think of yourself as the problem. I want you to first not think that there is a problem, because this, what you're thinking is completely valid. What you've gone through and how you feel now is completely 1000% valid. Okay. I think I should tell you a little bit of my story because I think it's very much similar, and I want you to know how I went forward in this process. So back in the day, a long time ago, right, I used to get bullied. It just seemed like there was always something that somebody had to say about me. I was always doing something wrong. I was not the favorite person. People didn't want to hang out with me. They didn't look to hang out with me. Like, that's what I felt like. And that translated to my adulthood, where I was like, you know, I always felt like I was doing something wrong. I constantly wanted to please people because I didn't want to be the point of contention. I didn't want to be the reason why they're upset. I hated the fact that I would make somebody feel some type of way and not know about it till later, because I'm like, listen, I need to know if I do something wrong now so I could fix it in the moment now, right? So my problem was that I constantly, and it probably shows in my YouTube channels, to be honest with you, because it's a trait of myself that I love and hate at the same time. I constantly want to help people, but sometimes, most of the times, guess what you're doing? You're neglecting yourself. And I think that's what's been going on here. I think you've constantly went through this battle of not only trying to be a people pleaser, but trying to fill a void that you're going at it the wrong way, right? Like you mentioned how you want to be seen, and it sounds like you're putting validation in the quantity of people that is around you because you yourself do not feel validated. And my question to you is like, why don't you feel like you're important? Why don't you feel like you're a good best friend? Why don't you feel validated in who you are to your friends, right? It makes sense to me, because here you're talking about you felt insecure, you felt like an outsider because your friends were speaking a different language around you, right? Someone who is sure in their friendship and is sure in themselves they probably feel some type of way that they're speaking another language. Because me, like, if I don't know what you're saying and we're hanging out together, just like out of the respect, like, just speak English, my guy. Like, don't speak it. You know, I don't know what you're saying. Like, come on, right? But at the same time, if they're not doing it maliciously, you shouldn't feel lesser of a person or lesser of a best friend because you felt some type of way about that, right? I'm trying to get you to the point to where you won't feel the type of way when your best friend is speaking, just as an example, your best friend is speaking a different language, right? And so the reason why I'm thinking you feel this way is because she was your first best friend, because you value her so much as a person that you feel like their bond is going to take away from your bond. But I'm here to tell you, because your best friend has other friends, it doesn't negate your friendship. It doesn't take away from your friendship, and it doesn't make your friendship any less than the other people that she hangs out with. Because if she truly and genuinely values you as a person, which it sounds like, and she's continuing to hang out with you, it really just seems like it's coming from your past. It's coming from your past hurt. And overall, I want to put this as an umbrella. It genuinely sounds like you're very protective over your happiness. You find happiness in other people. You want to feel validated. You want to feel seen when you're hanging out with a bunch of people. But then you realize like, whoa, this isn't bringing me any type of happiness. I'm going to just hang out with the people that make me happy. And so now you're very protective over this person because they make you feel seen. They make you feel validated. They make you feel like you are important. And I don't want to come over here and be like, oh, you was kind, you was smart, you was important. Like, no, like that's not what the, direction that I'm trying to go down. But I think the very first step that you need to take or should take as far as your journey is number one, you should make a goal of learning how to value yourself, because I think that's coming off of what you're saying here. It seems like this is more of an inner issue where you feel like you don't bring value to the friendship. Because if you saw that you guys had a valuable friendship and your friend valued you, I can't say that you won't, but I don't know if you would really feel like you're being a bad best friend, right? A lot of the things that happens in our childhood really does translate to how we treat people in our adulthood. And one thing that I had to do for myself when I experienced the bullying and everything like that, I had to remind myself like, hey, Whitney, you can't expect people to treat you the way that you treat them when you're not even treating yourself with kindness, when you're not even being compassionate to yourself, when you're not valuing who you are as a person. If you're not valuing you, how can you expect anybody else to value you? How can you expect anybody else to be that person for you when you can't even be that person for yourself? And so one thing that I think that I want to make clear here is that I think you need some alone time, right? Like I don't think that you should completely cut off everybody, right? And cut off your best friend. That's not what I'm saying. But I think you need to enjoy your presence by yourself. I think you need to, and I'm not saying that you don't, but I think you need to put that more of an emphasis, because I think if you valued yourself as a person, you would value who you are in different relationships and friendships. Because ask yourself this: do you want this type of relationship? Like when you're with your partner, right? And like say you have a partner and they go out and hang out with friends. Do you want to be jealous that they go and hang out with friends? Do you want them to be jealous that you're going out and hanging out with friends? Do you want to bring that type of energy into your bonds? No, not at all. Which is why you're saying you want to level up mentally. You want to stop being emotionally immature. And first thing that I want to mention, I keep on saying first thing, but another thing that I want to mention is that you're not necessarily emotionally immature. You just don't know how to process what's going on, right? Like I don't want to call it immature because it's how you feel. It's 1000% valid. You went through an experience where you felt like, let me say what you said specifically. You went through an experience where people talked a lot of shit about you, right? And it was traumatic and it shaped you to be more weary and on the alert. And when it comes to shifts in people's moods and everything like that, you're afraid of expressing your opinion because you don't want to lose anyone, which is like what I was saying, right? You kind of have this people pleasing effect, right? Like you kind of feel insecure to speak up because you don't want to be, like I said, the point of contention. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But I'm here to tell you that you're important. What you're feeling is important, and you need to express yourself, because keeping that bottled in is not going to help with anything. It's not going to help with your relationships. And when I say that, I mean your friendships as well. It's not going to help with what you achieve to do, right? And so one thing that I want to mention as well is that my therapist told me this, and it just opened up my mind completely. And I got a water bottle right here for you, girl. He literally he was talking to me about what I was doing, because like I was saying, right? Like I would constantly trying to put my worth and my validation into how I treated other people, as opposed to learning who I am and 1000% like learning who I am and loving who I am, right? And so he was like, when you constantly constrict other people and when you hold them so tight, not only are you doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing them a disservice as well, because nobody wants to be constricted. Nobody wants to feel like they can't be themselves when they're around you because of your own personal issues, right? Like, because you're sitting here telling them like, oh, I'm jealous when you go and hanging out with them. Like, other people want to go out, other people want to have fun, just like you want to go out and you want to have fun, right? And so my therapist said it like this. He was like, when you're constantly constricting somebody, you're not only doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing them a disservice too. Why are you wanting to control them? Why are you wanting them to do everything that you want to do, right? And so the whole point is like to let go of the restraints. I hope you're watching this because I got a visual for you. Let go of the restraints. Let this person be their own person. I don't know if you can see this. Let this person be their own person. You be your own person. You be your own person. When you guys come together, you guys make something great. So when you come together, you guys make something great. You guys make a great bond. You guys make a great friendship. And it's okay if that person goes out and hangs out with other people, because it doesn't diminish your worth. It doesn't diminish who they are as a person. And it doesn't diminish you two's bond. I think that with this whole how you're feeling is 1000% valid. I don't think you're emotionally mature. I understand that you want to become more ahead in your emotions. You want to be more mature in how you express how you feel and how you process different situations, right? Changing your perspective on different situations will 1000% help. One very 1000% thing that I think you need to do is to stop seeking validation in other people, because I think that's going to solve a lot of your problems. And more specifically, I want to say it sounds like you're seeking validation in your best friend. And so I think alone time would be I wrote it down, girl. So I think more specifically, right? This is how I started with my spiritual journey. One thing is that I'm trying to get to enjoying my alone time, right? Like, I go out on bars by myself sometimes because I like to go out and this is going to make me sound like an alcoholic, but I like to go out and have like a drink here or there. And I like to try things new, right? Like, I like to try new things, which you saw in my video. It's a whole bunch of new things that I want to try. I want to become more spiritually advanced. And so one thing that you could probably do for yourself that would help in your journey is incorporating more alone time, so that way you're comfortable with who you are as a person. And so what you should do in that alone time is very vital and very important, because you could be sitting around and just thinking about your best friend and getting more and more upset that she's not here in the room with you, or that she's not hanging out with you, or asking you to hang out with you first. Like, things like that could circle through your mind. Thoughts can come into your mind that has never come before, but because you're alone and you're not actively working on yourself, the devil is real, girl. So one thing that I think you should do is that whether you like to write or just reflect or even talk about it, like, to yourself, girl, like, because you can make a record and just listen. One thing that you should do is ask yourself, do I seek validation in others? Figure out your toxic traits. That's the number one thing that I did for myself, because I wanted to figure out what made me toxic and how can I change that, right? And so one thing that makes me toxic is that I have I don't know if I want to say it like this, but I'm just going to say it like that. And hopefully you're understanding where I'm coming from. I have a lot of masculine traits that could be bothersome to be around, right? And so I am very, I could be, let me not say very, because it's not my whole person, but I can be very defensive and very argumentative, especially on a topic that I know that I'm correct on. Like, if I know I'm right, you're going to hear it until the end of the day. And so that's the problem with me, is that nobody wants to be around someone who constantly argues everything and is defensive about everything. Because how are you going to learn? How are you going to gain more knowledge? How are you going to be an awesome lawyer if you're just thinking that what you're saying is right and you're not open to more conversation? You're not open to what other people have to say. And a lot of times I come off as that way because I'm so defensive and because I'm so argumentative. And even though I'm retaining what everybody is saying, my delivery and my response is giving off a different message. And so that's one thing that I want to fix within myself, and that's how I'm going to continue forward with fixing that, because I don't want to be somebody that can't be approachable, right? And so for me, I'm learning how to not argue everything, but if I am going to argue, not come off as arguing, and not to be so defensive to things. Like, I want to be able to because like the problem isn't retention, because I'm retaining what people are saying, but the problem is that because I'm listening to what they're saying, it doesn't seem like that. So I want to make sure that it's not viewed as me just throwing aside their words or anything like that. Like, I want to make sure that my response is not detrimental to myself or to the people that I love. And so for you, I'm going to challenge you to, enjoy your alone time. But in your alone time, I want you to ask yourself, what makes me toxic? How can I fix that? That is your very first step. I know you said you're stuck on your spiritual journey. Girl, number one thing for me, I did a lot of research because I was like, where the hell do I start? I was like, what the fuck? Spiritual journey, healing. Well, how do I do this? Right. And so one thing that made me, jumpstart my journey as well was that I follow a lot of people who are goals to me, right? Like, I follow a lot of people who are valid, people who have credibility, and I don't want to say I follow their steps, but I look at what their steps, I listen to what they say and say, does that apply to me? Can I continue forward with applying these steps? And I practice it and I continue forward, right? And so one thing for me that I do, that's like, say, a practice of me being defensive, right? I don't respond defensively. I say, I hear what you're saying and I thank you for what you're saying, because honestly, that's a completely different perspective. And I didn't even see that. Even if I don't agree, it's a different perspective, and I don't have to be like, you wrong, I don't care, like, no, or I don't have to continue arguing back and forth, right? And so one thing for you that I think that would help you is that maybe change your perspective on also your best friend hanging out with other people, because I think if you continue to show your jealousy and you continue to constrict her when she's hanging out with other friends, I'm assuming it's a her because it's an L. I don't know, but I shouldn't add a gender just to an L because like there's Larry, so I don't know. But anyways, when they're going to hang out with other people, it's okay. And maybe tell her, okay, have fun, let me know how your night goes. Call me when you get back. Things like that. Like, be genuinely happy that she's going out. And also, you could also meet new people, but genuinely be those friends to new people as well, because that girl can still be your best friend. You guys can grow and bond with each other. You guys can grow with your different experiences that you guys will have. And so you mentioned that you felt like, you felt like you were doing something wrong, or because she didn't hang out with you, you felt like you did something wrong. And so the reason why I say enjoy your alone time, because you do have a fear of being alone. And I'm telling you, you are not alone, okay? You have your best friend and you have yourself. You have your family. You have all these things that I think can attribute to your happiness. You just have to give them the opportunity to make them to make you happy. And you also, I think, finding different passions, learning new things, experience 1000% different new experiences will attribute to your growth and to your spiritual journey. Everything that you've told me today sounds like it's coming from a place of pain. And I don't want your pain to dictate the way that you continue in life. I want you to take that pain and say, listen, I'm not going to allow you to hurt me anymore. I'm not going to allow you to affect the way I perceive different situations anymore. I'm not bringing this into my adulthood. Your ass is going to stay in the past where you belong. And I'm going to be this new refound person, because guess what? That pain taught me a lesson. And I'm going to keep going forward. I'm going to be the best version of me possible. That's what I want you to do. I want you to be the best version of you possible. So the best way that you can be a better best friend, which I think you're being an amazing person, first of all, the best way you can be a better best friend. I don't even want to entertain being a better best friend. The best way you can be the best version of yourself is to leave the pain in the past. You learned that lesson, and listen, you can continue forward, right? Because you don't want it following you throughout your life. You want to level up. You want to be emotionally set in your different friendships and relationships. That's what it sounds like you want to be. You don't want to feel this jealousy. You don't want to feel like you need validation from the group of people, right? And so 1000%, I think you should applaud yourself for making the moves that you have made continuously, because you're trying to do better. You're trying to stop feeling this type of way. You're trying to not feel the hurt that it feels like, right, when you feel like your friend is not hanging out with you. Honestly, I think you're doing an amazing job, and I think you've already started on your journey because you have taken the steps to do what's best for you. And how can that be bad in any way possible? Unless, hold on, we're not going to talk about that. But like, you're doing what's best for you emotionally possible. And I'm going to applaud you on that, because not a lot of people are going to want to be honest with themselves. So not only you being honest with yourself, girl, you're taking the steps to try to be an overall better person. So that's what I think you genuinely need to do. Like I said, right, I'm going to challenge you I think you started your spiritual journey. So let's just continue, right? Like, one thing I'm going to challenge you to do is ask yourself, what are my toxic traits? What do I want to do to get rid of them? How am I going to get rid of them, right? And also, how am I going to, get more emotionally mature? Like, that's what you said in your words, right? Like, how am I going to feel more emotionally mature? Another thing is you should probably create boundaries, right? You shouldn't I don't even know if I want to say that anymore, because it doesn't sound like you have a problem with boundaries anymore, because you gave me your whole story and you don't do that anymore. That was back in the day. That was back when you were younger. Now that you're older, you're understanding the value of genuine friendship, and you are a genuine person. You're literally coming to me, but it seems like you understand what you're doing is not accurate and you want to fix that. Good job on that. Good job on wanting to do better, and good job on being as real and truthful with yourself as much as possible. That's the number one thing that I want you to do, is to be truthful and honest with yourself. This is how you feel. If you want to articulate that to your friend, do it. Okay. Let her know, like, hey, I feel X, Y, and Z when you do X, Y, and Z. Right. And I want you to know that you're not in the wrong at all. It's just something that I need to work on by myself. So if I, come off as completely constricting you, or if you feel like you can't be my friend because I'm acting in X, Y, and Z, tell me, because I don't know unless you tell me. Or if I constantly ask you, are we still friends? Or if I constantly make sure that, we're good, understand that I'm just going through a process right now. So that is all the advice that I have for you today. Hopefully I helped you out in any way that I can. This is a lifestyle. This isn't just like a period in my life where I'm just going to forget about it. Like, just like working out, being healthy is a lifestyle. I want to be healthy, so we're going to make this a lifestyle. So that's what I'm going to challenge you to do. I'm going to challenge you to challenge your mindset. Okay, girl. Thank you for writing me today, and I hope that I helped you out in any way possible. Don't forget, guys, I'm going to put my email on the screen. If you want my advice, send it to this email. It's writersoneworld@gmail.com. I am very, very thankful that you decided to choose me to help you out throughout your current dilemma. So thank you for choosing me today, for, helping you out throughout your current dilemma. And I hope to see you guys next time. Don't forget to update me, girl. Tell me what's going on with your spiritual journey. Thank you, guys, and I'll talk to you next time.